Welcome back, viewers at home. I am joined by my amazing guest who goes by the name of Hlakudi Gert Malatji, who is a community leader whose remarkable journey from the dusty streets of Sikekani in the Limpopo province is a true testament to the power of passion and determination. Hlakudi's work in community development through his non-profit organization, Malusi Youth Development Organisation, has transformed lives and addressed critical socio-economic challenges through education, sport, arts, feeding schemes, youth empowerment, as well as entrepreneurship programs. It has impacted the community in a positive manner. Now we explore his journey and some motivating stories on how he stays on his mission in terms of providing beautiful ways for the community members. Good evening, Mr. Hlakudi. Welcome to INX Prime.
Yeah, good evening to you and thanks for having me.
Now, like any other story, we'd like to hear from you. What inspired you to say, you know what, I am starting Malusi Youth Development Organisation?
Yes, no, thanks for the question. No, first and foremost, I would say I'm more inspired by my background. I've grown up, from the preamble that you have gave, I've grown up in a very dusty streets, in a very rural area called Botlokwa in Limpopo province. So, which there was nothing really that will inspire confidence, that, will motivate us to be the best that we can possibly be. So, I just felt that, there is something that needs to be done. Mahatma Gandhi used to say that be the change that he wants to see. So I moved from Limpopo province to Gauteng province, and then I went deep in an informal settlement that literally have nothing. So that is where I felt that, here is the place where I would do the change that I will be the catalyst of change that I want to see. So that is what mostly inspired me to say, the sufferings that I had when I grew up, I don't want any youth or children to be subjected to.
Now, just coming to your organization, I believe establishing it must have come with a lot of challenges. And I would like to hear from you. What would you say are some of those challenges, and how did you go about addressing those very same challenges?
Yes, when I started the organization back in 2015, I was a young graduate, frustrated, finding myself in an informal settlement, not having any experience, to do with NGOs and all that. So I just learned on the go, learning on the go, and then you will really, encounter a lot of challenges, in a sense that something that you will implement in a year, it will take you 2 years, because you will take 1 year learning and then the following year, starting to do the real thing. So we encountered a lot of challenges from resources. We started out of nothing. People didn't really trusted us with their resources to say, here are the resources, implement what you say you will implement. And then people were also skeptical to say, these young people, what is that they want to do? So there was that uncertainty and mistrust that when we started. So, but along the way, we had to prove ourselves, and then we had to get the buy-in of everyone, and all stakeholders in the community.
Now, one thing for sure about a lot of, community-based organization, it's very important and quite essential that you are engaged with the community itself. I want to hear from you. How do you ensure that you are always, rooted in the needs and priorities of your community, and how do you go about fulfilling those?
Yes, when we start an organization, of which that is my firm belief, that every NGO should start to address a certain need in the community. We exist because we needed to address a certain need on the community level. So we started to look around and then do our own homework, our own some sort of due diligence around, mapping around the community to say, but what is there that is lacking in this community? We identified a need around, education. We saw young people growing in an informal settlement where they don't have role models, like the background that I gave to say, I'm someone who grew in an informal settlement. We have a huge lack of information. So we wouldn't want these children to go through that particular journey. We identify a need to say we need to help and support these young people on their educational journey, because Nelson Mandela says to us that education is a powerful weapon that one can use to change their circumstances. So, and then we took it upon ourselves to say, we create an organization that serves as a support system to really support these young people in their educational journey.
I believe this organization in particular has 4 key focus points, and one being education, sports and culture, feeding schemes, youth empowerment, as well as entrepreneurship. I want you to just give us insight on some of these areas that I mentioned, as well as its impact on the community itself.
Yes, for sure. No, when we started, our priority was around education. But once you are having created a space for young people, you can't just have like formal or academic space for young people. You need to bring in some sort of fun, some sort of entertainment around. That is where we brought about sport and art program. To say, since we are dealing with young people, we need to take them through, we need to identify talent that they come with, mold that particular talent, shape that so that it get out there and shine. So that is the second program that we came about. And we also exist in a very impoverished community, which is an informal settlement. So hence we had to identify a need around food security, where we came with a program called Feeding Scheme. Most of young people who would come to our center, they come from, very difficult family backgrounds. Some, they will go to bed without food. And then we thought, before we tap into schoolwork when they come back from school, and then let's give them something to eat so that we bring back that level of energy, that level of concentration, so that we can get the schoolwork right. And the fourth program that we identified, which mostly speak to youth who are, particularly out of school, or who are post-matric, or who came to Gauteng province to look for either employment opportunities, to further their studies, and so on and so forth. We created a program called Youth Empowerment and Entrepreneurship Program. We had to understand that, youth unemployment in the country is quite alarming, and then we needed to do something around that. That is where we bring in the skills development, we do the computer skills, we do, the actual security trainings, we do, the beauty and nails courses, we do the life skills job readiness program, just to get to empower young people and prepare them for workplace, so that whenever one get an opportunity, they don't lose that. They get to employment and then they impress and they stay there. They don't come back to the queue of youth unemployment. So those are in a nutshell the programs that we've identified throughout. They've been relevant in the community from 2015 to date. We just innovate them here and there as we go, but those are our 4 focus areas.
That is quite a very holistic, initiative that you guys are doing at your organization. Now, I know earlier on you did briefly mention in terms of what motivated you to actually start the organization itself, coming from the dusty streets of Limpopo. I want to hear from you in terms of you growing up in Botlokwa. How would you say that your personal experiences there shape your approaches in terms of creating that sense of, community development and upliftment?
Yes, I think coming back from the family background, I've grown up in a family where, my grandmom will tell us that, you need to, if you exist on this earth, you need to serve a certain purpose. You really need to stand for something. You really need to represent something. You really need, whatever space that you find yourself in, you really need to be felt. You need to make an impact, because you are not on this earth, permanently so. So you have to do what you gotta do and pass. So that is what motivated me. I've grown up as a very disciplined young man who understands exactly what I wanted to do, and then who knows that one needs to work hard, to bring about change, either on a personal level or on a community level. So I've grown up like that, wherever I find myself, either at church, at community, I would volunteer here and there. During my tenure at tertiary level, I used to serve as a student academic mentor. So I would like to be felt where I am. I like to contribute wherever space that I find myself in.
Now, speaking of your hard work, I believe you go without not being recognized, because you've been recognized by various platforms. And I think this includes, you were named Nelson Mandela's of the Future by News 24. I want to know from you, what does that recognition mean to you? And I have to say congratulations.
Thank you.
And how does that sort of impact the work that you do moving forward?
Yes, such recognition really is some of the things that really keeps us going. and motivates us further. The one that you spoke about really came to me as a surprise. I mean, they said to me, we feel like you really embody, you feel like you imitate what Nelson Mandela would stood for. If Nelson Mandela will come out of his grave, we will smile at you. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, wow.
The voice is a big thing.
Yes, to say no, if you say so. But nonetheless, those are some of the things that really encourage us to keep going. We are not motivated by whether we wanted to be fame or to make money, and we just want to see the change. But in the process of doing that particular change, we are able to do what? We are able to be recognized by the different stakeholders.
Now, when we look at different provinces like your Limpopo, Eastern Cape, Mpumalanga, a lot of people have the spirit of moving away to the greener pastures of City of Gold, being Gauteng and many other provinces. And I think your story speaks on giving back where there isn't. And I think this comes with you starting your organization. For individuals who are seeing a lot that is not there, things that are lacking, what words of advice would you give to them in terms of, establishing our own, be the change that you want to see? What advice do you have for them?
I always tell people that, let's, wherever space that you find yourself, let's brighten the corner where you are. It's not about, quantity, it's about quality. Even if at your street corner you identify a few children that you can try to shape and on, whether on individual level or maybe, through organization, one should really start that. I told you that, we started from nothing. We start with you. If you need a sponsorship, you are the first sponsor because you are the first person who will go to internet cafe and then print a paper using your money from your own pocket. So you have to start from nothing. People will recognize you. People will support the good work. You really can put light under the table. It will come out, it will shine. People will see that, and then it will impact a lot of lives.
Another question, in 3 tips that anyone who wants to start an NPO to have very impactful programs like yourself, what are some of the tips you will share with them? Top 3 or top 5?
All right. Number 1, I will say, do your need analysis. Be as clear as possible. Communities will differ from one community to another in a way. So make sure that, you identify the great need in that particular community. You will remain relevant in that sense, and then you will be supported in that sense. And also get the right people around you, because I'm talking about human resource, human capital. So if you want to really go far, get the right people who are like-minded. People come to organizations for wrong reasons, feeling like companies will throw a lot of money, people can get rich overnight. Get the right people. That is number 2. Yeah. And then number 3, be persistent. This is work in progress. We are talking about community here. Even, on a national level, presidents come and go, but the problems of the country still remain. Sure. So, make sure that, you've got the right people, the right resources, and then to do the best that, you can possibly be. Have that particular persistent, and then to do your contribution to a certain level that you can actually do. And then also be consistent. Be consistent, and also the last one, and then I will say, have that sense of integrity. When you are dealing with people, you are dealing with the vulnerable people, and then and people trust you with their resources. Do what you said you will do.
Now, coming back to Malusi Youth Development Organization, where does it look like? Where is it headed in terms of goals, as well as in the near future? Where do you see it being?
So where we are now, we are actually celebrating our 10 years next year, 2025, and then so we thank people who have been around us, I mean, we are on the next door neighbor of companies like, Coca-Cola Beverages South Africa. So it's the Coca-Cola that played a significant role in the work that we do. I mean, for foundations called New School of Hope Foundation, and a lot of companies who are giving enormous support, who keeps us going. I can tell you that, Coca-Cola actually invested a youth center that worth, 2.5 million. So we started from a one-room container, and then they brought about that particular, investment. They trusted us with the responsibility. We don't take that for granted. So where we are going now, we have actually felt that all programs that we are doing in our community, we do some sort of a copy and paste kind of analysis. We are, starting to have footprint in other informal settlements. And as I'm talking, this year we have recently established new satellites, around us. So because we feel that, the issues and the challenges that youth in our community are going through, youth in the informal settlement next door are also going through that. They've been reaching out to us to say, can you come and implement our services, in our communities. We are operating 2, additional new sites now. And then what we want to do, we want to tap in a lot of informal settlement, especially in Gauteng, because informal settlement in Gauteng serves as some sort of mini rural areas of Gauteng province. So those are vulnerable communities. We really want to have footprint in those communities, using the same model, the same approach that we are using, and then get to impact even more lives.
Mr. Malatji, thank you so much for joining us this evening and sharing with us your journey from starting Malusi Youth Development Organization to where it is and to where it is headed. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Viewers at home, that was my guest who goes by the name of Hlakudi Gert Malatji, who was sharing in as the founder of Malusi Youth Development Organization, his journey, his challenges, and how he overcame it. He left some tips. If you missed it, good thing you can play back.